The ARDC Sim Midget Series is on the air. Live from Knoxville Raceway, Knoxville, Iowa. It's the iRacing Midgets. And BJ Antonio telling me just before this event went live. The ARDC Sim Midget Series is on the air. We are live. We are naming this one in special recognition of some friends that Bofa Broadcasting has lost recently. And joining me in the booth tonight, it's Tony Trapasso in the booth. Joining me tonight, my good friend, Mr. Kevin Paskowicz. KP, it's been a rough one this week.
Yeah, it has, Tony. Just want to take a moment tonight to actually thank the ARDC for what they're doing for, naming this race PH Awareness 35 in honor of some great guys that the pulmonary hypertension community lost. Sean Wyman and David, and now I've lost David's name.
Zepp,
thank you. I'm so sorry. But Sean Wyman and David Zepp, who were pulmonary hypertension patients, advocates. They were fathers, they were husbands, they were sons. And this disease just takes people far too quickly in some cases, or without warning. And I personally want to say that it fits, my personal mission to do PH awareness through esports and through iRacing and through real world racing. And these guys tonight are just, they've been amazing. They've stepped up. They've said, we'll help you out. And tonight's in honor of David and Sean.
And, to expand on that, pulmonary hypertension, it masks itself as so many other chronic illnesses with its symptoms, that it is, if it's not the most misdiagnosed, it's one of, only because of the way it presents itself. And KP, I know that you can probably confirm this, that the easiest way to help combat it is early detection and early, getting on top of it early with treatment. So we do ask that if anybody's interested in getting involved in aiding further with pulmonary hypertension awareness, we do ask that you go to phaware.org.
Yes, thank you, Tony. It's all of the symptoms are very much, what you would find. They're asthma, sleep apnea, heart disease, among many others. And doctors won't put them together. They'll just say, hey, you have sleep apnea, here's some medication. Hey, you have asthma, here's an inhaler. And it's not. And patients can have valuable time taken away by misdiagnosis. So, the goal is awareness. Awareness for our patient community, awareness for yourselves, and just awareness of what this disease is and what it can do. 10 years ago, a patient diagnosed with this disease had a life expectancy of 3 to 5 years. So it's, very dangerous. And again, I'm very appreciative of what the ARDC is doing, what other series are now doing, picking up this mantle and helping us spread the good word about pulmonary hypertension awareness. And hopefully we can help some people out.
Hopefully we can help some people out, and hopefully, we can, spread the awareness and try to lessen the times that we need to, have one of these moments where, we do have to, say goodbye to friends. So, that being said, Hot Lap's currently getting ready to wind down. They're in the driver's meeting right now, ladies and gentlemen. So we will be bringing qualifying momentarily here. Jared Singh just busting one off in the hot lap so far, as he's sitting atop the current leaderboard. And I do notice that the the track has already got a little bit of a slickness starting down low. And KP, I know you've been here a couple of times. I've been here a couple of times myself, and this is one of those tracks where you either set up for the high line or you set up for the low line, and you make your bed and lay in it for the entire race. There's no okay, I set up for the low line, I want to try the high line and see if that cushion's going to work. No, you're going to eat the wall.
Right. I've raced here in street stocks. I've done a couple of late model races here, some sprint car races here, and excuse me. And yeah, you really don't have a choice. I mean, you can't set it up to go low or go high. It has to be one or the other. There's no in between. You're either riding that cushion really close to that big Armco wall, or you're running right down on the bottom next to that berm, and it's tight. I mean, it looks like a big wide track, a lot of room, yes, but each one of these individual grooves is very, very tight and hard to get around this place.
Very hard to get around this place. If you get the setup wrong, it goes horribly wrong horribly quickly. But if you get it right, you become a hero to many.
Yeah, very true. I mean, in the real world, a win at Knoxville is analogous to a win at Daytona or a win at Monaco in the world of Formula One. Knoxville is the track where it's at. And it's a hard track. So these guys, even in sim racing, it's an honor to win here. So, these guys are really going to go for it tonight.
And I would like to point out before we get going too much further, is qualifying underway right now. This broadcast is being brought to you by Victory Lane Graphics. For all your in-sim graphical needs, you got something going through your mind, you want to see it on your race car, Victory Lane Graphics, you can find them on their Facebook page. And speaking of Victory Lane Graphics, we have one of their cars out there right now. That would be the 69 of Colin Dubois.
And they do a good job. I've seen their work in several series, Tony, and Victory Lane Graphics, if you're looking for an iRacing car to be painted, and I bet they can do some things outside of iRacing as well, they do good work.
Well, qualifying underway. Dubois currently sitting quick time so far in that Victory Lane number 69. We saw Colin have a little bit of a rough one last week. Had one snatched from him. I'm sure he's going to want a little bit of redemption this week.
Yeah, very much. I mean, he dominated that race last
week.
Uh-oh.
There's our first one of the night, folks. Thank God this is a simulator moment. As Harry Edwards in the 66. God, I love that speed camera on the backstretch.
It's a good shot and a good view, but not when something like that happens. That hurts a little.
Yeah. But Edwards going quick time. Brian Antonio, last week's winner, sitting second quick so far, as the first flight ending their qualifying sessions. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, very much. I mean, the bottom line is obviously the shortest way around here, so you'd think it's the fastest, but the entry into these corners right now is pretty well whipped. And I think to get any good traction, the drivers might have to set up and go for that higher line up towards the cushion.
Well, the good news is it's a fixed setup, so it's not whether or not the drivers can set up for it. Is the setup that the setup committee is giving them, is that going to allow it? As the next four cars starting to roll off right now, there's Austin Nye in the curb records 971. Robert Henschel in the, I believe that's the Kid Ice number 3.
I believe that is.
Ace McCarthy out on track right now as well. As is Matt McCutcheon. And we didn't see Matt in the last week at Lanier, so it's going to be interesting to see, what he can crank off in that number 42.
Now let's see. I mean, he looks good as they come up to speed here. He's looking good. These cars are looking solid, at least off the corners.
They're looking solid off the corners, and it looks like the setup is able to work up on that high side. The only problem is, as we've seen, even in the real life sprint car races here, when that cushion starts to move up the track, there are times where you're going to start wearing the letters off those Goodyear right rears. Hoosier right rear tires on the Midget cars.
That's okay. Yeah, Hoosiers on dirt. But you are exactly right, especially off these corners. I think coming off of corner number 2 is going to be particularly hard tonight, because following the momentum of the car, whether you're coming off the low line, whether you're coming off the high line, it kind of brings you right up towards that Armco wall, and it's really easy if you get the car just a little bit out of shape to catch that wall, and these little midget cars are going to climb it.
Well, I find it amusing. You and I are from the central New York area, and everybody always gives Watkins Glen a bunch of flack about, for those who want a little Armco with their racing. Well, I dare say there's as much Armco used at Knoxville as there is at the entirety of Watkins Glen, and I'm okay with that. As McCutcheon goes second quick and eats the turn 3 wall.
Well, we can't say that he had anything left on the table for that one.
No.
One heck of a lap there. I believe it was 20.306. Still about 15 thousandths of a second or so off of the pole, but not a bad lap.
20 thousandths on the button.
Why, yes.
As next flight getting ready to roll off right now. Looks like
and something I want to point out, Tony, that some of our viewers who are familiar with different types of racing, or maybe even new to it in its entirety, the reason these cars, they're spacing out group qualifying, but you'll notice they space out, anywhere between 20-30 car lengths apart. They'll all take the green at the same time. How they do group qualifying here on the dirt, that's to give each driver enough space so that if something goes wrong, they have time to react, or the drivers behind them have time to react. And it's a very effective form of qualifying. I kind of wish they used it in other areas as well.
It is very effective, and you hit the nail right on the head. It's not so much that you have a chance to react in case something goes wrong with your ride. It's everybody else on the track has a chance to react in case something goes wrong with your ride.
Right,
so,
and dirt, it can go wrong quickly.
As we've seen already. So we got Jared Singh, Joe Hoey, David Cook.
It looks like everyone's going around that outside, so I dare say that's where this setup is set for tonight. Is the middle of the track is one car on his roof. I'm not sure who that was.
I missed it.
It looked like a black and blue car just caught the Armco, and I think it was turn 4 and took himself for a tumble.
Well, if it's black and blue, that's going to be Hoey in the Eric Violet in the Eden Paints number 98.
No, he's still out there. I believe it may have been Jared Labaugh.
Dave Cook.
Dave Cook. Okay. I apologize for murdering names, folks. My apologies to the drivers. They can kick me after the race, I promise.
Right now, Jarrett Singh sitting third quick in the Racing number 49. Kind of showing how it's done. LeBaugh goes fifth quick as checkered flag flies for this flight of cars. Patterson in the TK Racing 16 goes 15th quick. So top 25 going to make the A main. And we've got way more than 25 cars here tonight, folks. So
I'll have to check. I think I counted 20, Tony. Or 30. Blech.
30 is more like it, because we're at 17 and I still have another page to scroll through of cars that are going to be taking time tonight.
We do have 30 competitors exactly here tonight trying to get into the A main.
Nice. So
And, you know,
sizable field.
Yes, and you know, Knoxville can handle it. You know, obviously we have a set number that are going to be racing in the main tonight, but you know, Knoxville, big wide track, yes, it's a tight line, but there's still a little bit of room to get around somebody if something goes south.
And you'll notice as the 30 rolls out on track right now, that's Colton Snyder. You saw that car take a dip. That's because the very inner portion near that inside rub rail is actually part of pit road. It's not timed and scored as part of pit road, but you're definitely not going to be able to race on it.
Right. For anyone out there wondering why don't they go all the way to the inside, there's a very large berm there. Probably, I would say 3 or 4 inches above the track level.
Closer to a foot, kid.
Okay, more. But you hit it at speed in anything, and you're going to have a rough ride. Yeah, I know in a sprint car, hitting it, it'll pick your front wheels right up off the track, and you're going straight into that white Armco.
Well, the thing is, too, with the wing sprint cars anyways, you have that wing to try to force the front back down, whereas with the midgets that we're seeing here tonight, as I'm sure you can attest, you go to pull the trigger, and if you're a little too aggressive on it, you're doing a, you know, super stock Hemi style wheelie. As David Hunt in the 24 gets it all wrong and catches some good air, rallycross style air coming across that berm.
Yeah, as we have somebody else on their roof. I'm starting to see a pattern develop here on the backstretch. I've seen our first qualifier really take that inside line. Tim Berner tried to stick it down low and kind of made it work, but then he's put it on the backstretch.
Yeah, no, that didn't really work. As Cayman tags the turn 2 wall, tries to put one into the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, which is the building that sits just on the outside of the Armco. As you can see, it says and museum. That's the International Sprint Car Hall of Fame there.
And I can tell you, Tony, I took one of these cars out for a little bit here earlier tonight around Knoxville, and it's hard. You cannot get full throttle by any stretch of the imagination. If you do, you're going to be staring at the sky. And these cars, they just want to snap. The second you turn into the corner, they want to go on you. So, you know, these drivers have their hands full. Maybe tonight more so than regularly.
Well, yeah, and again, you just hit the nail. Wow. Kyle Wiggins, Cole Trickles, 2 cars wrecking in turn 3. But, you know, the midget is a handful to begin with, and you really have to be, you know, what they call up on the wheel. You have to really, you know, stay in control, and you're fighting for control the entire time that you're driving the vehicle. And not sure what's going on with a couple of these guys going back out on track. Henschel back out on track. Cook back out on track.
I'm wondering if they're getting secondary laps. I wonder if something may have gone wrong that they're being allowed secondary laps.
That might be the cars that have. That is a sharp-looking car there of Brad Dyer in the Screaming Eagle Harley Davidson number 56. I'm always a sucker for an orange car, and you know, KP, you and I grew up in relatively the same area. You know, as a youngster, you know, Richie Evans was the end-all and be-all for racing in Central New York.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know people who weren't even racing fans, couldn't tell you which end of a race car is the one that goes forward, but they knew Richie, and they knew that bright orange car whenever it went by on a trailer.
And the funny story behind how that happened was 2 gallons of paint came up missing from the city of Rome town garage one day, and next thing you know, Richie's got an orange race car. Like, how'd that happen? As Henschel improves his time a little bit, goes up to 10th quick. Was knocked down to roughly 14th. So on the outside looking in right now, Berner in the 119, Stephen Roberts in the 27, and Rennell Barnes in the 717, all on the outside looking in right now.
And I want to say, I think Rennell Barnes was one of the ones, I don't remember if he barely made the cut last week or if he was one of the first ones to be cut. But
okay, so
rough night.
Here's how they're doing it.
All
Slight
right.
change in plans because the field is so big. B main procedure. Top 16. So David Hunt currently at the cutoff going into the A. So that means Edwards, McCutcheon, Cook, Antonio, LeBeau, Gill, Tremmel, Wiggins, Henschel, Dubois, Pavel, Mueller, Schneider, McCarthy, and David Hunt, the last one to go straight into the A. Everyone else gets to run alphabet soup.
Oh, this could be fun. Kudos to them, though. I think maybe our race organizers and the officials realize, 23, 24 cars on track here might be a little much, even though the relative size of the track. So splitting it up, I think, is a great idea. And, of course, gives us a little bit more racing to watch.
Okay, so there is a new server going up, ladies and gentlemen. So
all right, so so Tony, could we be leaving the air for a moment as we set up a new broadcast?
I'm checking with league management right now.
All right, well, that's a good idea. But just to give you folks a little bit of history here in Knoxville, Iowa, it's considered the world center for sprint car racing, really for dirt racing, World of Outlaw sprint cars, super late models. And for everyone out there, if you can get out to watch a race at the real Knoxville, I highly recommend it. It's an amazing facility, top notch. You might get a little gritty, but you're going to see some really good racing no matter what show they're running throughout the year.
You're not wrong there, especially with you've got the Open that happens at Knoxville every year, which they actually have 3 different Opens. There's the 305 Open, the 360 Open, and the Open. And the Open, the motor rule is capped at 410 cubic inches. Other than that, go crazy, have fun.
Yeah, and we all know what backyard engineering, when mixed with graduate level engineering, can produce. Just looking at some of the modifieds that have come out in the last 30 plus years plus super modifieds, things like that. And these guys know what they're doing, and they do the best thing they can do to get the most speed. Sometimes it's a little bit of backyard, sometimes it's a little bit of university, but it's always fast, it's always interesting, and it's always fun.
And it's always a fun thing to watch when the sanctioning body has to step in and go, okay, guys, you can't do this anymore. You can't do this anymore. Because about 10 years ago, the World of Outlaws were noticing that the front wings were actually sitting in front of the front tires. And they're like, that's kind of weird. And then they noticed that the rear wings were looking kind of funny, shall we say. And they made a lot of changes to all of that.
And that's really how ruling and innovation comes about in these sports. Is somebody shows up to the track with a car that the official looks at and goes, "No, sorry," and then they revisit it and look at it and go, "Okay, well, let's see what this does," and then you get a whole new, the sport will go in a whole new direction because of it.
Well, a perfect example of that, speaking of dirt racing, might I remind you of Super Dirt Week at the Syracuse Fairgrounds in 1980, when Gary Ballou rolled in with the 117, and it looked like nothing else that had been on the track prior to it. And Ballou and his crew had taken a Lincoln Continental, where everybody else was running, the AMC Gremlin, the AMC Pacer, and the Ford Pinto. Occasionally you'd see like a Chevette or something like that. They were taking compact cars and turning those into modifieds for weight reduction. Ballou and his crew said, well, let's take the panels off of Lincoln and lay a flat panel across the inside of the car and have all that used for aero. And your cousin was one of the ones that was complaining about it as he was scrambling to try to get their car as wide and as aerodynamically efficient as the thing Ballou showed up with.
Right. I mean, even Jeff Bodine, mentioning him on the asphalt side of things, took a tour modified. I think he showed up, as the story goes, to a race at Martinsville with a heavily modified Pinto that didn't break any rules. But the officials took one look at it and knew that there was some significant changes to their rule book on board, and they went with it. And that's actually kind of how we ended up with the modern Midget, among other cars as well. Somebody just looked at what they had, said, hey, I can make this better, and here we are.
All right, so KP, I'm receiving word that we need to go into a new server as the B main is getting ready to go up.
All right. Tell me where to go, and we shall go.
Well, to quote the team owner I worked with when I was out in Levine, Arizona, when he said we're going to the adult entertainment facility, you go to hell and take a right.
All right. Well, this could be fun. I'm always up for a road trip.
So it looks like the server is up.
All right. Well, so we must X out of this and continue on over to our next one.
Absolutely. So bear with us a moment or four, folks, as KP and I are both going to get logged into the new server and kind of get to follow us on our little adventure here.
Yes, the adventures of iRacing are always fun, where racing meets technology in a very strange way. Sometimes you gotta double-click and mouse your way around.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and this is something that iRacing really needs to look at, is they have not allowed Alphabet Soup to be put in league races yet. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, when you go to the bigger events like the Chili Bowl or the Knoxville National Open. There's mains that are lettered. There's, of course, the A main, then you have the B main, the C main, the D main, the E main, and everybody works their way up, with the A main being the feature event. And if you start in a lower main, they call it alphabet soup, because usually the winner of, hypothetically saying the L main, you move into the K main. The winner of the K main moves into the J main. The J main moves into the I main. And et cetera, until you have your full field in the A.
Right. I've seen drivers, watching the Chili Bowl, try and make it a annual tradition to try and catch it on TV. You'll have guys that'll start way down at the bottom, last chance qualifier for the last main, and 2 days later they're sitting there in the A main going, how did I get here? And some of them can make a pretty good run of it.
Okay, so they are going to be manually lining this one up. This one's just going to be quick and dirty and get her done. So,
do we have a lap count for the B main? So this is good.
15.
All right, 15 laps. That's not bad around here.
And they're waiting on one final car to get in, as these guys are. I'm being told right now by Brian that they weren't expecting this many cars at Knoxville. So to be complete, wow.
Yeah, you saw that too. I just watched somebody do a somersault.
Thank you, speed camera. That, like I said, I love that camera on the backstretch. And you are watching a presentation of the ARDC Sim Midget Racing Series. You can find them on their Facebook page. And this, of course, is the Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness 35. This is the B main. And let me make sure I've got this correct. So the top 16 from the qualifying that we just saw are going straight into the A. And then they are definitely taking 4 with a possible past champions provisional.
All right, so this could be fun, folks. We're going to see some guys racing their hearts out to get into that A main later. Points, pride, prestige, whatever you want to call their reasoning. I think we're going to have some guys who are just going to leave it all out on the track here very, very shortly.
All right. So, anywho, would like to say that this is probably one of my favorite times of the year, solely because this is when all of the race cars start to come out of hibernation. I believe, one of my local tracks, Fulton Speedway, was actually supposed to have their test and tune yesterday. Unfortunately, it iced. But
unfortunately, a common problem for a lot of the dirt tracks right now.
But yeah, and to know that the tracks are getting ready to go back live, and that the things are getting ready to happen again. I love spring.
It's an amazing time. It's when all the race cars wake up. We were supposed to have our test and tune at our local track here last weekend, and a lot of rain very quickly, and the fact that the racetrack is located on the floodplain of a major river meant that we actually had a lake. It was Little Hilltop last week, dried out, and I believe they got it done this weekend. But yes, you are quite right, Tony. Just a ton of fun, great great time of year for racing fans everywhere.
And that's, you know, I used to joke with family members because, you know, I was one of the few racing fans growing up in my family. I mean, there was my dad, of course, who got me, you know, interested in racing. But, you know, my uncles were, you know, football and baseball. And I used to, as a kid, I used to joke with my uncle, you know what I like most about spring training starting? He goes, what's that? I said, racing season's less than a month away. He looks at me, he goes, huh? I said, pitchers and catchers report on the last week in January. The following week is the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Spring training starts. 2 weeks later is the Daytona 500. He looked at me, he goes, you're only 7. How do you know this?
Yeah, that was, you know, growing up, that's what the Super Bowl meant. Super Bowl meant 2 things to me. It meant that my birthday was the next week, and it meant that the Daytona 500 was 3 weeks or less away. And that was always, to me, the best time of the year, getting to go sit in front of the TV. Might still be snowing outside, but I got to sit in front of the TV, watch some racing.
Well, I remember when I was a teenager, I got my first portable TV, and I actually got in a little bit of trouble at school as I'm sitting there with an earbud in one ear, the book up on my desk, and the television sitting there, and I forget what happened, but I got excited, and the teacher looked at me, she goes, do you want detention? Looked at the clock, looked at the TV, looked at the clock, looked at the TV, said, no, because I want to see the big one happen in the next race as soon as I get home. She goes, turn it off then. Okay. I had like 2 classes left in the day. For the and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this was during the at the time it was the Gatorade twin 125s at Daytona. Now I forget what they're calling it this week, but anyways.
I think they've gone to 150 now. That's about the best I can do. But yeah, you are quite right. I mean, you know, that for any fan of racing, growing up as a kid, I mean, you know, grew up with my dad, you know, taking me around to the dirt tracks upstate New York, because we are getting ready to go green by the looks of it.
Green flag.
No, we're not going green. What we're doing is we're getting ready to manually line these guys up. So starting up on the point is going to be the number 56 of, come on, get where you need to get to. Yeah, no idea what's going on right now. So Austin Nye looks like he's going to be up on the point.
So this is making a little bit more sense. I see everyone trying to line up here.
Tony Karen, Jeff Patterson, Eric Violet, Brad Dreyer, Robert Mockin, Tim Burner, Joe Holloway, Rennell Barnes, Brett Osborne, and Steven Robards going to be the 11 cars that are going to take the green here tonight. David Hunt, Ace McCarthy up in the booth with Brian Antonio. So,
all right, well, now we're formed up.
It looks like everybody's formed up. As 14 laps, the scheduled distance in this one.
Well, I think the cone's about to get pulled in, and now I think we're about to go racing.
Not this time. Next lap. So they just want to make sure that they've got the field formed where they need to be. Last minute instructions coming out of the booth, so it's going to be a 13-lap shootout. Top 4 guaranteed to go to the A main, with a couple of possible past champion provisionals carrying over into the A. And then we get to do it all over again, where we're going to need to go into another server, only because KP and I have already left the other server, and iRacing won't let us back in.
It's fickle like that sometimes, folks. But
yeah,
now I think
giant flying fickle finger of fate. As green flag comes out, Nye wasting no time pulling the trigger coming out of 4.
There we go. So we already have, somebody into the wall hard.
Yeah. That was Machwin just trying to tear down the turn 1 wall.
You always have that one guy on the start in any series who just gets it a little bit wrong.
Well, right now, Austin Nye walking away with this one. Kieran and Patterson sitting in 2nd and 3rd. The battle right now, there's Eric Violet, who has 4th, slugging it out with Brad Dyer in the 56. That's for the guaranteed final transfer spot.
Right.
Oh!
And you saw what I just saw.
Patterson upside down.
And you know, Tony, he did what we talked about. He just got it a little bit too high off turn 2, clipped that Armco with his right rear tire, and it was off to the races.
Luckily, nobody else caught a race car to the face, so Patterson out. Dyer, the final transfer right now, as he is over a 1.5 seconds to the good over Brett Osborne in the 99. Nye still showing the way.
I gotta say, this field spread out pretty quick there, Tony, and I'd have to think that if you're in 1st or 2nd right now, you know that just keep it off the wall, keep it more or less pointed in the right direction, and you probably are going to transfer.
Well, that's all you can really hope to do at this point anyways, is just try to keep it off the wall and just hope that, Lady Deluxe doesn't stick her head in the, through the roll cage of your car and go, "Hi, come with me." As we've already seen happen.
Right. So hard. I mean, these cars, they want to keep going off these corners, so it's sometimes a challenge to keep them off the wall.
Well, when you think about it, you're talking about a car that weighs maybe 900 pounds without the driver, and an engine that is tuned to its limit, putting out somewhere in the neighborhood of 450, 500-ish on a good night. And all the weight, if you look where the driver's sitting, the driver is the heaviest thing in the car next to the roll cage. So all the weight is actually sitting directly over the rear axle. And, you've got the fuel tank back there, the driver's back there. How they can actually turn these cars is, physics majors have tried to figure it out, and their heads have exploded.
Having tried to drive one of these things on an asphalt short track, I can tell you it's not easy. These cars actually turn them left, like you would turn your road car left. It's tricky at best.
Tricky? You're going to refer to that as only tricky? I suppose next you're going to tell me Pol Pot was mildly confused.
Okay, well, yeah. Hate mail, folks. Please send it to Tony. I believe he's in Baldwinsville. But yeah, these cars, they're definitely built to slide. They are definitely built to go around a dirt track. You don't want to race them on anything else.
This version of the Midget, anyways. There is a pavement version of the Midget out there. We just don't have it in iRacing yet. As Nye hanging on for the B-Main win.
All right, so it looks like your top 4 are going to be Austin Nye, Tony Kernan, Eric Violet, and Brad Dyer. Kind of off to the races by themselves. I mean, it was over 4 seconds between 4th and 5th. So, Tony, how do you think this translates into them in the A-Main? You think they're going to have something for them?
I'm not going to say no. Only because I've raced with Austin Nye before in other series, and I know that he is a very tough competitor. if he gets his shot, expect to see him, really be able to. Expect to see him really, do something. So.
Right, definitely. I mean, pretty sure I've raced with Austin a couple times, and he is one heck of a competitor. So,
User was moved to your channel.
Speaking of Austin, we're going to reach out to Austin right now, as he, won the A main there. Austin, are you with us? Hello, Austin.
Houston to Austin, which is an interesting drive.
I'll pass.
User was moved out of your channel.
All right, so I guess we don't have Austin with us. Looks like he's too busy rolling through tech to make sure that car is going to stay working. As the A main server getting ready to go up. So, again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Andy, my favorite badge carrier, thanks for watching, tuning in on the YouTube stream. Our good friend, Mr. Andy DeLay, just got heck of a guy. Real heck of a guy.
Heck of a road racer, too. If he's half as good a cop as he is a road racer, then he's a pretty darn good cop.
Well, let me tell you how good of a cop he is. He actually just got the promotion to school resource officer.
I had heard that, and sharing that with all of our friends, just a big congrats to him.
Absolutely.
It's definitely, I think, a sign of character if a school system and a police force is putting that much faith in you. So congratulations, Andy, yet again from your friends here at BOFA.
Yes, congratulations, Andy, and Oh, okay. So wherever Andy is right now is one of his last speed traps. You're free to just drive how you want past his cruiser right now, because we'll keep him busy for you folks for the next roughly hour or so. So just kidding. Anyways, the A main server will be 36 laps.
All right.
As that should be going up momentarily here.
Well, I have to say, overall, Tony, if the B main is any indication of what we're going to see in the A main, that was some good racing. We had a lot of good, clean racing there. And I think a couple more cars on track, a little bit more at stake. I think it's going to be, that plus a little.
I think it's going to be that much more, plus. But the one thing to keep in mind is when you do get more cars out on the track, it's more likely to be able to catch a race car to the face.
Yeah, yes. And those are always, thank goodness this is a sim moment. Having been a guy both the cause of and receiver of race cars to the face here in iRacing, I can say that it's kind of a clenching moment every time.
Well, look at the bright side. At least you're not using an Oculus Rift, because if you were, from what I've been told, it is one of the most terrifying moments you can have.
I have heard the same thing. Of course, we have a couple of guys that we know and race with regularly who do use the Oculus Rift, and it's kind of fun to play around with them a little bit in practice, not going to lie.
You know what I'd love to do is I'd love to try an Oculus Rift and go car bowling. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's where everybody in the server is made in admin, and you clear your own black flags, and you have a pack start around the track at Talladega. And then one lucky bowler starts around the track backwards. And when I say backwards, they're going forwards, but they're going the opposite direction of everyone else. And you purposely miss on the first lap, and on the second lap, hopefully you meet somewhere around the middle of the back straightaway.
That is the hope. Not always how it happens, but that's the hope.
And the idea is to try to create as much carnage as you can. It's purposely doing things. The event is set up that if you did it at any other time in your iRacing career, you'd get that letter from Nimcross saying, your accessibility to the server has been revoked for X amount of period of time. Please review your own actions and don't do that in the future. Whereas for car bowling, you're supposed to do that dumb stuff. And I'm wondering what it would be like to do that in an Oculus Rift and a full motion rig.
I don't know, but I kind of want to try it now. I don't know why, but I do.
Now, we do have a friend who has a full motion rig.
This is true, and if he has an Oculus...
well, no, we have another friend who has an Oculus. So what we need to do is we need to get the friend with the Oculus to go over to the friend with the full motion rig's house, and then we all need to have like a server party there where everybody else brings their computers with them. We plug the Oculus into the full motion rig. Everybody else is on their own stuff in running on the server as well. And then whoever's turn it is to be the ball gets to use the Oculus rig.
So, Bill, Alex, if you guys are listening, we have a proposition for you.
Crime and Italy.
Alright, well, I've just been informed that it appears that the main event is up. So...
I am already in the server, waiting on you, sir.
Well, see, I just found out.
I'm sorry. I thought you knew.
It's okay. It's how my entire day's gone. I'm half a step out.
Anywho.
Alright, I will be there momentarily. I'm loading in now.
So while we're doing this right now, I would like to remind everybody what the rest of the schedule this week is going to look like for the Bofa Broadcasting Company. Tomorrow night, we are going to go back to the Last Great Coliseum for our final trip this week anyways. With the HH Concrete 305 Pavement Series, $15 to win with the 305 Wing Sprint car at Bristol.
You know, I have a truck race tomorrow night, and I kind of want to race there.
Just because you're the league sponsor doesn't mean you have to be at that truck race.
This is true, but it's a good race for a good cause, so...
And I'd also like to point out that the 305 race last week was done in time to still allow you to get to the truck race, I think.
Oh, now you're just being evil. But no, folks, please check us out. Some great racing all the way around. Also, I believe the... what other races do we have coming up this week? I believe we have the IndyCar Series.
Tuesday night is the Indy Elite Series. They're going to Barber. And if you've never seen the Barber track, probably one of the most visually beautiful racing facilities in all the world, period. Just the landscaping that is done at that track, second to none. And for those of you who are fans of modern art, there's a awesome sculpture there that looks like a spider.
Yeah, if you're a lover of modern art who's also arachnophobic, don't look it up. But otherwise, go for it. It is an amazing piece of artwork. And yes, the track, to me, Tony, I've always felt whenever I've watched a race there or seen a race in iRacing, been to a race in iRacing, to me it feels like somebody built a world-class road course in the middle of a world-class golf course. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful.
Well, Barber actually is a country club style. It's instead of it being a golf country club, it's a motorsports country club. And that's really what it is. You've got a couple of those around the country in the United States. One of which is Barber, one of which is VIR, one of which is New Jersey Motorsports Park.
There's another one in Michigan as well, and right now the name is blanking.
I'm drawing a blank on that one as well, but you've got a handful of them. They're cropping up, and they're actually becoming more and more popular as we're watching the DeWalt Tools car go on a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride there.
That was beyond a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That was Alice falling down the rabbit hole.
True story. So anywho, but like we were saying, Indy Elite Series Tuesday night from Barber. And then Wednesday is the Top Fuel Racing Series DW12 League from Pocono. And then we go back to the full fendered madness that is the Southern Motorsports Cup Series. The Portside Automotive Land Rover and Jaguar Cup Series. They are going to be going to Richmond. Then we are back there Friday night with the... yeah, I can draw a blank right now. Back there Friday with the Go Fast Series. With their Grand National Series. And then the eMotorsports K&N cars on Saturday night from Richmond. So Richmond, and then I have to touch base with Brian to see where the ARDC cars are next week.
Yeah, so needless to say, full week of racing here, both with broadcasting, all of our friends. If you're watching the race tonight, please check us out.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you like any of the action that you're seeing, whichever series you want to get involved in, drop your iRacing screen name into a comment, and we will get that passed along to the league admins.
Definitely, and as we're watching hot laps here for the A-Main, Tony, we were talking about that cushion going away. If you look up in the middle of turn 1 and 2 and start to a little bit in turn 3 and 4, there's not really a cushion anymore between the racing line and that white Armco wall. As that was a big wreck.
That's a big wreck, and that's one of those. You wake up in the hospital 3 days later going, well, doc, last thing I remember was dirt sky, pretty nurse.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
And KP, I'm going to let you do the lineup because Brian's telling me that it's going to be a manual lineup in the and that was posted in Sim. And unfortunately, I don't have access to it at this moment in time.
I do not have it either. I cannot find it.
There it is.
See, you're still a step ahead of me.
And I'm still missing some of the drivers, so... Okay. You can kind of...
I mean, it looks like a good race, so I think we've got some good times laid down here. If hot laps are any indication, and I think we're going to have a competitive A-Main.
I think you're right, and whoops, not where I wanted to go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to just bear with us here, as you know, we're doing what we can. It's technical issues of iRacing not allowing us to do what we need to do when we need to do it. And I would like to say that Brian and all the guys that are running the ARDC series have just done a remarkable job tonight to be able to stay on top of things and get things done the way that we needed to get them done to make sure that we can put on the absolute best ARDC Midget Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness 35 that we can. So, cars are getting ready to roll off here. Now, don't go off of what you're seeing for a lineup as they're gridding up, because there will be a manual lineup. And tonight's Heartburn brought to you by SpaghettiOs. Yeah. Well, KP, what are you expecting to see tonight? As they did do some farming of the track, the usage of the track will be mildly different when we do get to go back to green here. Hello, KP. Did we lose KP? Apparently we lost KP. As the fireworks happening here. So... cars rolling out on the track right now. KP, your mic's off if you're still here. Oh, that would explain why KP's not here. Apparently, apparently there's a dogfight. So KP's gotta go break that one up. All right. Cool. Let's I feel so alone.
Green.
All right, that is not actually the green, ladies and gentlemen. It's, we're currently waiting for the lineup to happen. So Matt McCutcheon going to be starting up on the point. Harry Edwards starting outside row number 1. So the teammates in the cars: Brian Antonio, David Cook make up row number 2. Jared LeBas and Cody Tremmel. Ace McCarthy, Kyle Wiggins, Colin Dubois, Ryan Mueller, Robert Henschel, Austin Nye, Brendan Pavel, Eric Violet, Jason Gill, Brad Dyer, Brett Osborne, David Hunt, Tony Kieran, and Rennell Barnes starting shotgun on the field. So...
all right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, just got your message a little late on that one.
One of the drawbacks to bringing your dog to the digital racetrack is sometimes he gets a little nippy.
Yeah. Loud noises and dogs don't get along.
No, not at all. But anyway, we're good. We're here. We're ready to go. We're going to see some racing tonight from Knoxville.
As the field getting formed up, looks like we are going to go live with 34 to go. I would like to point out it's going to be manual cautions if there's 2 or more cars involved, single car incidences. If 2 cars get damaged as far as having to come to a stop, then they'll throw the yellow. Catching a race car to the face does not institute a caution.
All right, since we have no need for ambulances here, we're not going to stop a race for an ambulance on the track.
Well, it's kind of like, yeah, that sounded funnier than in your head probably than it came across to the fans, as being told one more lap to green.
Right, and I have to say, it's one of my favorite parts about dirt racing, Tony, is watching all these cars come around nicely formed up. We got some beautiful cars. We got some great drivers. And the anticipation just before the start of one of these things is, to me, the best part about dirt racing.
Absolutely, as you know you're about to, have a pack of angry wolves behind you and in front of you, and next to you is, the possibility of going through the corner sideways.
Yep. And here we go. Green flag is out.
Wow.
Already. And I don't know how that happened, but we had just had a car do a complete 360 in the middle of the pack. Nobody involved. As the 42 puts a slide job on into the lead.
Well, McCutcheon's probably a little pissed because Antonio got the jump on him on the start. And apparently cone rule not in effect.
Oh, and the green, out you go.
Absolutely, and McCutcheon back to the point where he started. As we've got some cars doing the whole lemon in the eye thing later in the field.
Whoa, as a couple of guys get together back there for about 4th.
Well, they're 3 wide for 6th right now. And one of them is... no, I guess he's not. Now, Austin Nye, our B-main winner, steadily climbing his way up, currently sitting 16th. And you'll notice what the car is doing. If you get it down low where that blue groove is starting to form in, it really hikes that left front into the air. If you're up on the cushion, it's a little more controllable. As these guys are just... I don't think there's going to be Hoosier lettering left on those right rear tires as they go into 3.
Yeah, I don't see how there can be. I mean, this cushion is just steadily moving up and up and up. And right now in 3 and 4, it doesn't look like there's a cushion left.
There isn't, as Cook under attack from Hatchell and Pavel right now. That's LeBaugh to his high side. And these guys are slugging it away for 4th as if they were running for the win right now. So, McCutcheon in the 42 is steadily walking away from the field. Over a second to the good, over second place BJ Antonio, who won last week. Cody Tremmel currently sits in 3rd. As you see him right there in the 34. Jared LeBaugh gets into him as they come through 1 and 2, and LeBaugh upside down.
Oh man, that I don't think that was intentional, but man, that was just a little bit of race car in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't think anyone else got involved.
There wasn't, and it was one of those slide job gone horribly wrong. That's going to be our first caution right there.
Yep. I would have to say that's going to be a caution. Or maybe not.
Not.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
I mean, that was just, up there racing for that. I think, was it 4th place? And somebody just got out of shape and everyone else accordioned into him.
Well, right now we're watching the 99 of Osborne, and it looks like things got horribly wrong in front of him. I want to say it was probably Ace McCarthy.
I think so.
Nope. Yeah, Ace. It started when Henschel got loose. And then McCarthy had absolutely nowhere to go, and victim of circumstance at this point is Osborne in the 99. Just barrel rolls it.
Yeah, definitely. That would just.
Yeah, and then Henschel got into another one. Couldn't see exactly who that was. Maybe the 30. Snyder. That was a rough one.
Yeah, that was our not our first, but our first of the A main. Thank goodness this is only a sim moment.
True story. As the field formed back up now, McKetchum, Antonio, Tremmel, Mueller, Pobble, Wiggins, Cook, Edwards, Henschel, and Austin Nye up to 10th. So making the most of that B main transfer so far.
I'm going to say, I think if he can keep his wheels under it, he's got an outside shot at a podium.
Green comes back out, and we are back live.
Oh, somebody just went flipping over the wall in turn 2. Unless my screen's going messy. It might have been.
No, that was David Hunt.
Well, it looked like a ride no one should have to take, and I definitely don't want to take. But yet again, Tony, as soon as the green comes out, we're looking at our just kind of walking away from 3rd, 4th, and 5th there. I mean, they're just they're stretching their legs and putting some distance on the rest of this field.
Well, once you get past Ryan Mueller in 4th, yeah, this field is very much stretched right out. You got Mueller in the Quaker State number 3, and who was that?
That was our 2nd place.
That was Antonio. Last week's winner, BJ Antonio, going on a wild one. Let's watch him there. It's a 45.
It looks like he just caught a wheel on the wall out coming off the corner, Tony.
He did, and then just got pile driven by the 34 of Trammell. Just wow. That's that was a rough one.
It was, especially for last week's winner. I mean, for those of you who didn't join us last week, he just absolutely put on an amazing show to win that race. So, thinking maybe you could do it again here tonight, but I don't think the stars have aligned.
You're not wrong. But it's going to take something strange to happen to catch Matt McKetchum tonight. Cody Tremmell's going to have a shot at him. Ryan Mueller in the 33 is going to need some luck on his side as we are 16 to go.
I think you almost to beat him, to beat McCutcheon right now. I think you almost have to anticipate his start, be right there with him in his tire tracks, if not having a run on him into the corner. I mean, he's just been so dominant so far.
Well, you've got to do all of that and hope he steps on his own junk. And that's not how you beat him.
No, that's definitely not asleep at the switch, as we like to say. And he's falling back quick. It's already a 10-car length advantage.
10-car length advantage is Tremmel, Mueller, Edwards, and Pavel slugging it away for the runner-up spot currently, as they are almost 4 wide coming through 4. That is.
Yeah, and I think that's where the battle is right now. Is for second and third, because McCutcheon, our leader, he's just walking away.
And these guys are flirting with that Armco there in turn 4. I mean, I know that's where the good cut of cushion is, but... And there goes McCutcheon's teammate. That's the 66 of Harry Edwards. Started outside row number 1. Just dive bombs it, and that could have ended poorly.
Yeah, I mean, just, it's go time. You got to make something happen right now. It's a slide job off of 4. Can't make it stick, though. And these guys are just dive bombing each other.
They're dive bombing each other, and I almost got to think that Edwards has got to be using at least some of that berm going into turn 1. You watch how low he goes. Yeah, his tire just touches it, and it shoots him up the track.
Yep, he is definitely, Tony. You hit that nail right on the head. And it looks like again into 3, but he's not going to stick this time. How he kept it off the wall, I don't know.
That's where you kind of clench your butt, stick your foot right to the floor, and go, please bite, please bite, please bite, please bite. And that was the 33 getting into him.
And guys, I have to think that somebody's luck is about to run out, cutting it and dive bombing it into 3, because they're just going to slide up the track. There's not going to be anything left to bite laps real soon.
Well, we're already 9 to go, and you got to give Ryan Mueller in the 33 some props. As he got crossed up with some help. As you see, the back bumper of the 66 has a little bit of a mark on it, shall we say? But yeah, these guys are just slugging away at it for that runner-up spot. Currently, the 2 teammates sitting 1 and 2, McCutcheon and Edwards.
Yeah, now I think Edwards looks like he's starting to eke out just a little bit of a lead over Trammell now, and it looks like the battle might be for that final podium spot in 3rd.
It is Mueller all over the back bumper of Trammell. He's trying to figure out how to get around him without having to turn him. And there it is. He cuts across, does the crossover coming off of 4. Unfortunately, it killed all of his momentum. And there's just no grip down low. And that's really the only complaint I've heard so far about iRacing dirt cars is there's no blue groove that forms. It just stays dry slick. And you and I both know that once a track goes dry slick, if you continue to run on a dry slick track, it blue grooves and the traction comes back.
Right. And for any of our viewers who might not watch dirt racing regularly, a good example of that is when the NASCAR trucks, as somebody goes up and over.
That was David Hunt in the 24. Trying to put one into the Sprint Car Hall of Fame the hard way.
He almost succeeded. But if you watch the NASCAR trucks, when they go to Eldora in the summer, they will work that track in so hard that it's almost asphalt. And by the end of the night, the track has a blue sheen to it, which is all of the rubber from the tires actually getting worked into the dirt. That's why we call it the blue groove. And yeah, that is the one thing iRacing quite hasn't gotten right yet.
Well, talking about tracks that tend to eat up tires like that, as we're watching McCutcheon and Edwards just work the entire field right now. 2 to go. It's almost academic for McCutcheon right now. One of our Phenomenal Motorsports teammates, Quentin Young, went to Williams Grove and showed a picture from the pits of one of the sprint cars from last night's race, and it looked like a slick after the race because the track had blue grooved so badly that it had eaten all of the tread off the tire.
And
So,
that,
what checker's flag coming out this time, and Tremmel gonna hang on for third. So,
that was the race.
that was the race. McKetchum, Edwards, and Tremmel, your top three. As
I mean, right there, only 2 cautions. We had a lot of really good close racing. That was a fun one. We said we thought it was going to be fun, and it was.
very much so. As we're reaching out right now to looking for our top 3 up in TeamSpeak. Looking for Cody. There he is.
User was moved to your channel.
So we're going to start off with our third place finisher, Mr. Cody Tremmel. Cody, that was probably one of the most exciting races to watch that I've seen in a long time. Watching you and Mueller just slug it out for that final podium spot.
Yeah, it was a good time, bud. Me and Ryan, like I said, we're pretty good buds and stuff, and me and him try to race each other clean as possible. But yeah, I couldn't. Me and him was just putting out like a really good battle, and then I believe Edwards came up there on second place, and tell you what, he had a fast car. I couldn't hold him back any more than what I could. So bravo to him and Matt on the win. So.
Well, congratulations to you on the podium. Anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
I'd like to thank Brian for doing the race tonight, and appreciate you broadcasting.
Well, we're happy to be here as we're watching Matt go to crazy with donuts on the turn 1. We'll let you get back up and celebrate with everybody. Best of luck next week, Cody.
All right, appreciate it.
User was moved out of your channel.
And now we are reaching out to... we're going to bring in the 2 teammates finishing 1-2 on the podium tonight as we're watching Matt McKetchum make himself dizzy doing Cyclones in turn 2. Now, Harry, real quick, we noticed that you were just touching that inside berm going into 1. Was that something that you found that was going to make it work, or was that just by accident that you stumbled on that?
No, that's just kind of like the slider line you kind of take. You kind of come in and you kind of like just touch the inside. Like I kind of just throw the biggest one I can so I can clear the person. But I kind of just did that, and also there's grip down there, so it kind of just hooks up and pushes you a little bit more around the corner.
Fair enough. Now, I know we didn't get a chance to talk last week, but am I noticing a little battle of the Open Wheel Nations forming up with you and Matt stealing the podium tonight? Am I sensing a little bit of a Aussie accent?
Kiwi.
Kiwi. Aha.
New Zealand.
Way to go! You've just insulted everybody, Tony.
My condolences. I've worked with modified driver Pete Britton, and I noticed that there's a similarity there. I know it wasn't Palmy. That's why I figured I'd take the best guess I could. But no, Harry, congratulations on the podium as your teammate's still going ballistic. Matt, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So, talk to us about, you just blistered 1 in qualifying and just started to walk away from the field. Was that something you were kind of expecting to do here at Knoxville, or did it just kind of fall into your lap?
Definitely not. I didn't expect to pull away. It's the first time racing with this league, and it's a pretty awesome league. Racing's pretty clean, so I wasn't expecting to do that good, or I wasn't expecting to pull away from anyone. So that was a huge surprise, but it was a cool race with everyone there. I think we threw a couple of slide jobs at the beginning, which was awesome.
Well, that was you and last week's winner, league owner BJ Antonio. Just throwing bombs at each other for the opening laps of this one. and you were able to really hang on for the win. Anybody you'd like to thank tonight for the that helped you to the victory?
Yeah, I'd like to obviously thank the people that put on the show. It was an awesome event. I want to thank all my other guys from NZSR for helping me really get better at throwing slide jobs, and I think that definitely helped me tonight when we were in a slide job battle. Definitely got a bit lucky and started to pull away, which was awesome. So I just want to thank all the NZSR guys, Speed Nation, and the event owners for tonight.
User was moved to your channel.
Well, one of the guys we are going to reach out to now is league owner Brian Antonio. Now, Brian, the two Kiwis standing dominant this week. I know that you and the rest of the stateside boys are going to be looking to get a little vengeance on them next week. Where does the series move from here?
That's actually a good question. Let me look for you now.
Fair enough.
But while I'm looking, I'm actually pulling it up right now. It was a really good race. Matt really freaking was flying. No one could even catch him, even his buddy Harry. I was trying all my best to catch him tonight, and unfortunately I hopped the cushion and flipped her over pretty bad, and a lot of guys did. The cushion was treacherous tonight, but that's racing. So we will be at Charlotte next week. Our schedule is a little mixed up. We were supposed to be scheduled for Eldora, but I don't think anyone's ready for that yet. Even Knoxville's pretty tough. So we'll be at Charlotte next week, and I, as well as all the other guys, I'm pretty sure they're looking forward to it. It's good on the fence track. The cushion isn't too killer, and it's a good time.
Well, Matt, Harry, you guys, you got to defend the Kiwi Nation next week at Charlotte. Are we going to see you guys back next week?
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, we'll see some flying Kiwis.
Well, we saw some flying Kiwis tonight, just the low level kind that you guys really put on a show. Over 4 seconds to the good over the rest of the field.
I think I would have had him.
Yeah.
No, I
Come
had
slide me, mate.
I had a bit of a problem because I came in and I forgot to tell my change my rotation on the ratio on the setup. So that kind of mucked me up in the first corner, but I fixed that quickly when I came in. So that's when I started to move forward.
All right.
So I have to ask,
go ahead, KP.
real quick. I have to ask Matt. Can we start calling you the professor because you absolutely took everyone to school tonight?
Definitely, I haven't heard that name before, so definitely we can carry that one on. That's actually quite good.
All right. Well, I believe that's going to do it here tonight for the Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness 35 from Knoxville. You have been watching a presentation of the ARDC Midget Sim Series, brought to you by USAC and Victory Lane Graphics for all your in-sim graphical needs. If you've got something going through your mind, you want to see it on your race car, be sure to check out Victory Lane Graphics on their Facebook page. KP, heck of a race this week. Looking forward to the rest of the week. And I know I'm excited to see what happens when the series goes to the heart of NASCAR country next week with Charlotte.
Definitely. I mean, Charlotte's a track I've actually been turning some laps on, trying to get used to, and it's beautiful. It's an absolutely perfect track, as you would expect. Bruton Smith and his boys to build, and of course iRacing to scan. So it's an absolutely beautiful track. I think these cars are going to fly around Charlotte, and it should be a heck of a show. All
right. So on behalf of Brian Antonio with the ARDC Sim Midget Series and Mr. Kevin Pasquich, my broadcast partner, Mr. Orange Paso, saying we will see you next time, boys and girls.